Good morning and welcome to Bolton. I'm Joyce Stilley, the Administrative Officer for the Town of Bolton, and this is a live show done the first and the third Tuesdays of each month from 10:30 to 11 a.m. The show is rebroadcast on the second and fourth Tuesdays at the same time period. The show is a continuing effort to promote open communications within the community, and if you have any topics or issues or concerns or shows that you would like to see, please contact me at the Town Hall and we will see if we can get a show on the air. Today I have a special guest with me, and that would be our newest town employee, our new town clerk, Elizabeth Waters. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Liz comes in to us from the town of Ellington, but Susan DePold, our longtime town clerk and assistant town clerk, retired as of December 31st. And so you've been with us actually for about a month now,
yeah, a
little over a month.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in choosing Bolton.
Well, as you know, I came from the town of Ellington. I was the assistant town clerk there. I actually started in town government in about maybe 6 years now, and I came in as the administrative clerk, and within about 6 months took the position of assistant town clerk. And through the course of the time there, did some training through the Connecticut Town Clerks Association. That's part of what we do to get certified to be a town clerk, and that takes about 2.5 years to do. And the opportunity finally presented itself for me that several of the towns actually had a lot of town clerks that were retiring, but I felt that Bolton would be a good choice for me. So I applied, and here I am.
And we welcome you, and certainly, years of experience. What people may not realize is that the role of an assistant versus a town clerk is a little bit different.
It can be a lot different, actually. There are a lot of responsibilities that the town clerk has that are over and above what an assistant does.
And certainly we've talked about, you mentioned training, that there is a certification for town clerks.
Right. Yes. Like I said, it takes about 2.5 years to take the courses. There's 5 modules, really, and they're offered twice a year. And then in June of every year, they have the certification test that you have to sit for. So it's a hard test. It takes quite a bit of time to go through it, and you're lucky to pass it. There's a lot of people actually that sit for the test sometimes don't pass. So it's a small group of folks that really do.
And with that, town clerks, as well as you have a very strong organization, and you constantly have ongoing training too, because
Yes.
Unfortunately, as with other parts of municipal government, things don't stand still.
Right. We have a very active association, and we also, not just the association as a whole, but we also have our own county associations. So we keep abreast of everything that is going on that's being changed. A lot of times the laws will change. So we have our little meetings to kind of go over those things and to talk and see how we're going to handle the different things that come our way.
And before the show, and perhaps you can share a little bit of the history of town clerk, where it started and its origins.
From what I've been reading, I did a little research on my own just to kind of see, and it seems it goes back to the ancient Greeks. And the word clerk actually comes from the Latin clericus, but it actually starts way back, so clerks have been around for an awful long time. And through the years, it's developed, and eventually, from ancient Greece to the Europeans and the English, coming over here into this country, the English set up, the clerks here to record the town's history, basically, and what was going on as far as land exchanges and that kind of thing.
Let's talk about, you mentioned land exchanges. Let's talk about things that a town clerk does, or what types of records you're involved with.
Okay. As most people might know, and maybe some don't, we are the keeper of record for the town. So we have every land transaction that has transacted from the town's incorporation to the present. That's one of the primary functions of the town clerk's office. And those records are available to the public. It's kind of like a public library. If you need to check out the records, you can. But we do record several different types of documents. Warranty deeds, those are the actual conveyances of the property from one owner to the next. The mortgages that go with them. There's also tax liens and things like that that come our way that we put on the land records. There are other documents. Unfortunately, foreclosures, we hear a lot about it. Those kind of documents are on there as well. Releases of mortgages, those kind of things.
And with the sewer project,
yes,
your office has been involved in quite a few of those types of records as well, because there's an easement on these properties for the grinder pumps. And while there's a benefit assessment, there's basically that is a lien on the property as well.
Yes, yes. I'm coming actually on the end of that project. I know Susan was pretty much involved in that since she'd been in the office for over 20 years. So she was there from the inception of that project, and I'm kind of coming in on the tail end of that.
Yes. As we've moved into Vernon more, Bolton doesn't quite have to do as much. But people may not realize, talk about the age of town records. I know through your little bit of time going through things in the vault, you've actually found some very old things.
Yeah, I did. I found a record for the church, for the Congregational Church, which I didn't bring, but I did bring a volume of one of the older land records. So.
And people, they go back, we were looking at them into the 1700s,
right.
Which the town was incorporated in 1720.
Yes, right.
So,
yes, so a lot of the records are very old, and they've been well preserved. This book is an indication of how they can preserve the records. If you had a book from that actual time period, those pages would be very brittle, but there are varying methods of preservation, and this is one example of that.
Perhaps we could just show one of the pages.
This one looks like what they did was they preserved the pages. They do it in it's not in an acid bath, but it's kind of similar to it. And then it looks like they've been affixed to an acid-free paper. So I don't know how much you can see of this, but you can see the styling of the handwriting. Everything was done by hand. Nowadays, what we do is we're actually scanning in the actual document that comes in for record. So everything's been typed, and you can read it fairly well. What this is, obviously handwritten.
Much like calligraphy, though,
yeah.
It was the style of writing versus us today that nobody could read our writing. We all look like doctors.
Yeah, in order to put anything into any of these records back then, you had to have very good handwriting, and most of the town clerks, as you know from the history of Bolton, were men. I'm one of 4 women now that's clerk, but the men were the ones that were chosen to write the record. So kind of interesting to see it.
Yes. And the history of the town, one of the other things that came across was actually, and we're going to be talking about Town Hall a little bit next month, but Town Hall is celebrating its 100th anniversary, and what you found was like the plot plan.
Yeah.
From, I think it was dated 1912,
right,
and it was built in 1914.
Yeah.
So
yes.
It's got to be the original
yes.
plan
Yes.
for the town hall.
I kind of stumbled upon that. Found it when I was going through. It was kind of Susan DePaul, the prior town clerk, had shown me a lot of, the vault and everything. And on my own, I've been exploring a little bit to just see what else is in there from the time that she had to show me, and came across that map. Not the map, I'm sorry, but the plan for the building. That was kind of neat to see.
And some of the other things, found a receipt book that showed about people going to the different markets and in handwriting and what they were owed, and it was very fascinating records.
Yeah, those hopefully we can get restored. Some of them are in a little rough shape, but a lot of them, you can bring them to these companies that do a really good job, and we'll see if we can get that done.
So beyond land records, what other types of records does a town clerk keep?
Well, you're going to have a lot of vital records, which means any birth or death or marriage that occurs in the town of Bolton will be on record. We have to keep that as a permanent record for the town. Some are originals, some are copies that, because the person or persons may have, say, for example, marriage, they may have gotten married in another town, but they live in Bolton, so we would get a copy from that town. So we have certified copies, and we also have originals.
And people may not realize, but if they're getting a marriage license, they come to see you.
Yes, we're the office that they would come to, yeah, for sure.
And actually, that does take a little bit of time to fill out.
Yeah, we ask about a half an hour or so, because there's information, there's a form that they would fill out. Of course, they would have to be getting married in the town of Bolton in order to get that from us. The law changed a little bit. It used to be that you could get a marriage license either in the town of your residence or in the town that you were getting married in, but the law changed, and now if wherever you're getting married is the town that you would go to. So in this instance, if someone were getting married in the town of Bolton, they would come here and see us for that.
And some of the other things that you do, people may not realize, but dog licenses, hunting and fishing licenses, different licenses.
Right.
Let's talk about those.
Yeah, anybody that wanted to get any kind of a sporting license, hunting, fishing, archery, any of those, they can get it through our office. We have a kiosk that's issued by the state of Connecticut, and we can issue those licenses. We also have the guidebooks for hunting and fishing as well.
And we should go through on a yearly basis a little bit of, like this time of year, winter months, slow time?
Not necessarily. Of course, all the election stuff starts ramping up. So little by little, things that occur, go through our office. Like right now, they had the town committees and all that had their caucuses and for primaries. So it's just beginning. It's all just beginning now.
And certainly one of the other things right at the end of yours, but moving forward, is every board and commission by December 31st has to set a meeting schedule for the next year.
Right.
And that has to be submitted to you.
It has to come through us, yes. Yes, we maintain those agendas. We maintain also the minutes from all of those boards and commissions. So those are all, again, out for public display for perusal.
And we have tried over the course of time to make sure that those get posted to the town's website, but some are better than others at getting that electronically to us.
Yeah.
But you actually get physically a hard copy that is put into a book like that for each board and commission.
Each board and commission has their own hardbound volume that we put all that information into. So again, another part of the record keeping that we keep for the town.
And you've been working on budget as well. You submitted your budget. And in the spring then, spring, early summer, what types of things do you get involved in? And maybe not in Ellington, but certainly in Bolton.
Well, in spring we're going to be thinking about the dog licensing. So we're going to get prepared for that. Of course, when the summer rolls around, June 1st, the dogs will have to be licensed again, over the renewal. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on.
And actually for Bolton, it's budget referendum
And budget
in May.
referendums, yes, in May.
And
I'm sorry to have skipped over that, but yes, that's a big one. That's a big one, yes.
And
I know they've already set the referendum date.
yes.
So.
And the also along with that, we always have our annual town meeting in May as well.
Okay.
By charter, and that'll be something that the town clerk serves
Yes.
as the clerk
Right.
for the town meetings as well, which probably as an assistant you did not have the opportunity to do.
Actually, as an assistant, I did a couple, 2, 3, in place of the town clerk there. But for the most part, that really falls to the town clerk. It may be different in some towns where, the town clerk might be busy in different facets of that office. But for me, I got to do that just a few times. So this will be all a new experience.
And as you move into fall, then, as you
Now
talked
we're
about, you're back into elections.
Back into elections, yeah. Back
And
into
people may
elections.
not realize, but the town clerk has a vital role in elections.
A lot of paperwork mainly involved in elections. We actually, through our office, that's where you can get the absentee ballots. So that's I would say our primary function as far as the election goes. So absentee balloting, a lot of record keeping and that goes with that.
In just your short 6 years in this type of job, I'm sure you've seen changes occur. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that. I mean, if you go back to this era, there's been drastic changes as to records.
Right. Well, back in the day, as you can see, everything handwritten. Now, we're putting things through electronically, and that is actually going one more step where they're talking about, e-filings and that kind of thing. I know some of the larger towns are participating in e-filings. It may not be something that some of the smaller towns might be doing, but it actually has gotten to that point where filings for land records, whether it's a mortgage or a release or a lien or anything like that, is coming through electronic data. So with somebody, in between kind of monitoring the original documents and then getting that off to us. So I know several of the larger towns and the busier towns are doing that.
And for Bolton, you may not have any clue the number of transactions in a year, but certainly with the land records, having it even computerized for people to look back has been within the last 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
And things have changed, and people
Yes.
don't want to come into town hall necessarily. They want to find things
Well,
online.
in Ellington, that's how we did it. The town clerk there had put the records online, so they were easily accessed. That does bring down the number of people that come in to visit your office, but it also opens up an opportunity for those folks to get that job done a little bit quicker. And I think in some instances, time is money, so it makes it maybe a little more efficient for them to do that. Maybe eventually, Bolton might go that way to offer it online. But yes, all those indexes to those land records are on a computer, so they're there for people to look at.
Well, and if you're buying a property, you want to know the history.
Right.
You want to make sure that there's nothing hidden there. And usually people don't do it themselves. They
have a title searcher.
They have a
that
title
comes in
searcher, and
through the attorney's office usually, or a company. Yeah. So.
And that's who you primarily see.
Yeah, we see a lot, and it's funny. I've seen a lot of the same title searchers. Obviously, they being in the same county, Talon County, I have seen quite a few of the people that I've seen over in my old town. So it's kind of nice to see those folks.
So let's talk about what other types of things town clerks get involved in. People come to you for questions on the charter, if we're having a referendum, you might write an explanatory text. Some of those types of other things. Day to day, what do you do? Besides come to work and love it?
Well, I do, actually. I do like the town, very welcoming. But it's funny, we're kind of like the central call center, I guess, for the town. Residents will call and they have all kinds of questions from, their trash to, what came in for a record, whichever. But yeah, you never know what every day is going to bring. It's going to be different. But someone might come in for, the fishing license or a hunting license, or someone might be, come in to record a document. You might get some phone calls about, who's having a meeting tonight, or are those minutes in for those meetings. So it's a little mishmash of everything that we do, a little bit, here and there. It's different from day to day.
And anybody from the town that is appointed to a board or commission will get to come visit you.
Right, to take their oath. And to get sworn in, Basically, that's one of the other duties that we have is, to give oaths and, for people that have been appointed to commissions and even elected officials for the town.
And just tracking all of that can sometimes be challenging.
Yeah, we do it the old-fashioned way with our little index cards, which actually is kind of neat. I like that. Others use more sophisticated software for that, but again, if you're a larger town, you might be more into that kind of thing. I kind of like the old-fashioned way.
And with that, there also is just people may not realize, actually, we get letters in my office of people resigning from boards or commissions, but really
comes to us.
It all falls under your responsibility.
Yeah.
Not just the minutes, not just the posting of agendas, but the whole tracking of everybody who's on all the boards and commissions.
The coming and the going, yes, absolutely. We have to keep that actually in the record. And also track the terms and that kind of things too. So yeah, a lot of it falls on us. We're really the secretary for the town, if you want to look at it that way.
So what do you see as further changes that may be coming about in Bolton, or for even your position as a whole throughout the state clerks? I mean, I certainly moving towards electronic data is, it's a given.
I don't think that there's any way to get around that. For those that may like, the old-fashioned way of doing things, unfortunately, this is a digital age, and a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to progress that way. Like I said, the change in the e-filing already has, that's a big step. As it is, we do a lot of our stuff on computers anyways, even when, somebody comes in for just a license, marriage license. We're not hand typing, handwriting or typing those on a machine anymore. We're, putting them into a PDF file and, printing that out onto the document.
But that hasn't been that many years, actually.
But that hasn't been that. But that's just part of the electronic change. Everything was all handwritten and manual. A lot of that, like I say, it's going a digital way. So.
And voting,
voting's another one. Voting, that's a big one. Yeah, that used to be
progressing.
It used to be the old pull of levers. Now you have your sheet and it's going through an electronic reader. So yeah.
But even who can vote and how much time you have to change your address or be a registered voter in this town or that town.
Same day
registration. A lot of that same day falls back to you.
Right. But even same-day registration and those kind of things, that's a new thing on the frontier as well. Before we used to have, nobody was a registered, if there were people that weren't registered voters, they would have to come to our office to do, like, say, the presidentials, vote on the presidential ballots. But now you show up at the polls, and if you're not a registered voter, you can register the same day and, get to vote. So
in looking at everything, where do you see Bolton going next year? Do you have some hopes for changes in the office, or kind of putting you on the spot now? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I do have plans in my head. Whether or not we have funding, that's another big thing. There's always, the matter of the money, and that limits how much you can do. I've already looked, into a few things. One of them being an electronic cash register system
Susan warned me about that.
that takes away the old register. But what it does is it allows us to have a little more accurate bookkeeping. Not that our bookkeeping isn't accurate, but it has it right there, and everything is in accounts right off the bat without having to, put things, write things in a certain place. But, and that also allows us to take in the records right while the person is standing there. We partially input the records as well. One of the other things that I was looking at were maybe the management of the vault a little bit. There are some cabinets in there that we'd like to, get and have different ones in there that can maybe organize the vault a little bit better. Not to say that, it wasn't fine, the way Susan was, but I think her hope was that I could help bring the, Bolton into maybe the 21st century.
Vault space has always been a
Vault
concern.
space is all, yeah. And that's the problem, because since so much of what we have is permanent record, we need the space. So, we've got to come up with creative ways to make that space, because all we have is that one vault. So, and when you have to keep stuff on a permanent basis, it gets a little tough, because now you're starting to run out of it. So I'm looking at ways to organize things to where we have enough room for that.
Very good. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you for
to the
having me.
team. We've certainly enjoyed having you as part of our team, and know that you'll be an excellent member going forward.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. Our budget workshop for tonight has been postponed due to inclement weather. In February, we'll actually be talking about the Town Hall anniversary and about capital items. And again, thank you to Community Voice Channel for its continued support, and I will see you in 2 weeks.